your literature book. I'll tell
It's
you.
grammar ولا literature? Grammar ولا literature?
Literature. We take literature, writing from literature.
Yes.
Here. Page 186. Writing a literary analysis. Okay. Wait a minute. Why did he choose? Oh. Yes. Okay. So, girls, we'll take literary analysis. And literary analysis in hello here. I don't know what that is. Anyway, we will take literary analysis. And literary analysis essay here is a little bit is focusing on Daisy and Great Gatsby and Maya Angelou and this. It is great, which will help us. But let's first understand what is a literary analysis and what, how can we write it and what do we analyze. So I'll share with you my PowerPoint. Here, can you see my PowerPoint, girls?
Yes.
Okay. So focus with me. Literary analysis. Literary is adjective for literature. Analysis is how to analyze and divide and observe. Literary analysis is say definition. Okay. Here, Lujain, read يا Lujain.
Okay. Literary analysis essay definition. A literary analysis essay is a form of opinion essay in which students share their opinion about the theme and other literary elements. These views and opinions are then supported with evidence from the relevant work.
Okay, so this, he says that literary analysis is an opinion essay, but you do not write in this essay, my opinion is this. No, you write what you think of, but don't write, I think of that. No, you write the analysis of the literature selection, and then I understand it's your opinion because it's your essay, so I understand it's your opinion. So in this essay also you do not mention yourself. Better not to mention yourself, or I think, or I believe, or I see. And then when you say the thesis statement or the main idea, or you support it with evidence from the literary work. Continue.
The literary piece of writing can be a short story, poem, or any other fictional or non-fictional work. It also has the same sections as different essay types, but it may not have a thesis statement, especially if it is just an informative essay type.
Okay. In literary analysis, I can analyze a poem, I can analyze a short story, I can analyze fiction or non-fiction. Okay, continue.
The method used to analyze literary work can differ depending upon the type of work being analyzed. It is essential to break down the work into various components to understand and study better.
It is the same outline for normal essays, an introduction, a conclusion, and three bodies in the middle.
The fundamental characteristics that make a literary analysis essay different from other essays are: a literary analysis essay includes a narrative. It is interpretive. It doesn't have an arguable thesis. It is a report.
It is a report. It means that it says, what do you think of the literary work? It doesn't have an arguable thesis because you do not argue with another one. You don't have to mention other people's opinion because this is your opinion.
I'm saying that this is my opinion.
But you do not tell me, no, Maho, this is what I'm telling you. Do not write to me, my opinion is no. Instead of telling me my opinion, just say it. As we know, why, girls, we do not mention ourselves in essays? Listen, if you open the internet, you search for essays, you can find essays and formal essays, and they mention themselves. But this is not a good way to learn. It is better not to mention yourself at all. Why? Why better not to mention myself at all? Listen, look at this sentence. When I say I think that the essay, or I think that the author failed, I think the author didn't, or no, the author didn't grab my attention to the story, or he didn't put me in the middle of the events. Look at the other way of turning the sentence in order not to use I or me. The author has failed into getting the reader in the middle of the events,
Yeah,
or
it's
inside
more
the events.
professional.
More professional. And instead of saying, I think that the essay was boring, one thing could be taken on the author that some critics said or some criticized his work by being boring. Look, the way you moved the words, the way you turned is more professionally than just mentioning yourself. So if I say to you, yes, mention yourself and just say I, and day by day you will lose the formality of writing. But when you know how to write formally, not to mention yourself, telling the opinion of yourself without mentioning yourself, you can easily write yourself. Yani, later you can break this law.
Miss, Miss, do they do this so that they will avoid problems؟ يعني إنه instead of saying مثلا إنه writing يعني instead of saying مثلا I don't like this work.
No, critics
like
do.
some people
Those people who work as critics, they do say I didn't like this movie. It doesn't, but they didn't say that. They say it more powerful. They say this movie doesn't deserve a penny.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
This movie doesn't deserve to be watched. So he said what he thinks of without mentioning I, which is profession. This is more professionally than just mentioning himself. So a good author is the one who can write an essay without mentioning herself. Oh, this is my turn for you to watch the movie and tell me your opinion. No, you can talk to the reader in a formal way, and you can express yourself in a formal way. Okay. So a literary analysis essay includes a narrative. It means that you can talk about yourself. Actually, when you write this literary analysis, I know that it's yours, so I know it's your opinion. Yani, if Huda gives me her essay, would I ever think that it's Judy's opinion? No, it's Huda's opinion because she's the one who wrote it. Okay?
Yes.
It doesn't have an arguable thesis. Yes, dear?
Yani this whole essay is about me writing my opinion on something?
The whole essay is you mention your opinion, which I will tell you now how, and you prove it from the literary work. And three bodies, you support what you said.
But I will only write it in a paragraph. Three bodies is hard to write.
And then, no, three bodies is to show. Listen.
Yes, I'm proving it.
Wait. The method used to analyze, who's reading? Thank you, Lujain. Tia, read ya, Tia.
Yes, miss. Shall I read from the beginning?
The method, yes.
Yeah. The method used to analyze literary work can differ depending upon the type of work being analyzed. It is essential to break down the work into various components to understand and study better. The fundamental characteristics that make a literary analysis essay different from other essays are: a literary analysis essay includes
it is the same, but what is this? I'm sorry, we read the same. I read this, yeah, Tia, I'm sorry.
What is the purpose of a literary analysis essay? A literary analysis essay helps the students in finding and explaining the essential elements of fictions. It aims at presenting the detailed and all-sided analysis of a specific piece of literature work. In this essay, the writer considers the content, language, effect on the audience, and the writing style in literature. As a literature major, it is mandatory to learn literary elements and analyze them as per your understanding.
Okay. It's not a book review, girls. Literary analysis is not a book review. So you will not just write that this book is suitable for readers under 18 or above 18. for plus 18, it's not a book review. It's you analyze a literary work. You analyze it, which is what when in science when you go to the laboratory and you take this I don't know what they call it for bacteria and then you look at it under it in Pinocularis and this it's called Pinocularis this or called what? No, Pinocularis is this, right?
The microscope
The
Microscope, yes, this.
on the dish, yes.
Yes, and this is analyzed. Why? Because you look at each small and every little part of this insect or bacteria on it. So the same for the literary work. Why? Why would I, as a student, I would like to learn about analyze a literary work? When you analyze, you understand. When you analyze, you understand. So if you didn't, when you read a book, and then I didn't like the way the author described the characters. The author didn't bring the characters alive. The characteristics were not credible or believed. There was something wrong. I'm sorry. There was something wrong in the description of the antagonist, for example. So when it's your time to write, you will avoid using this mistake. Right or not? For example, you read
Yes.
a novel and the author keeps getting you into deep details and they are irrelevant and unnecessary. So when you write your own book, you will avoid to use irrelevant details and unnecessary words. So you learn through analyzing. Again, you learn through analyzing. You learn from others' mistakes. So when you know how to get others' mistakes, you know how to avoid them. And this is the why literary analysis is very important. And literary analysis and those critics, the person who works as a critic, his job is hard. He has to read many books and hundreds, thousands of books in order to know how to analyze a new one. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. The writer considers the content, the language, the effect on audience, writing style. Let's see. Elements of literature. Teacher, we take writing. Why you take literature now? Because in literary analysis, you do not analyze what happened in the story. And for example, if we will analyze The Great Gatsby, Oh, it is. I hated when Daisy killed the woman that her husband cheated her with, and then Gatsby was. We don't want you to analyze the events. I don't want to know what did Rosie did. I don't want to know what Gatsby did. I don't want to know what her husband or her cousin did. I don't want to know the details of the events. No. I want to understand how it was written. So in order to understand how it was written, I have to understand the elements of literature, the elements of this literary work. So if it's about The Great Gatsby, I want to analyze how the author wrote it. How did he stick to the elements of literature? So in order to know, in order to analyze, I have to understand first the elements of literature. Okay? Thank you, Yatia. Wad, are you here? Wad?
Yes.
Read it, please. Read, please.
Okay. Elements of literature are the ideas or devices that make up a story. In other words, they are the elements that are used to develop the story. In a literary essay explaining these elements is an incidental. Without them, no literal essay is complete. Some literature elements are more prominent, while others do not have any significant role in the chosen literary work, or such an
An accident.
An incident. Thank you, Wad. So number one is the plot. Plot, Lean Matter. Lean Matter.
Yes, teacher.
Yes, read Lean.
The plot is one of the most significant elements of the literary essay. It provides insight into how the story unfolds and discusses the pattern of events that eventually makes up a story.
Yes, continue. Lean.
Yes, teacher. Okay. Sometimes the authors use the non-linear plot, i.e., they include the flashbacks or future events to make the story more captivating. You have to pay attention to this point while writing a literary analysis essay.
So one of the literary analysis to be discussed is the plot. Plot is not the plot itself, no. How he wrote the plot. Was the plot engaging? Was it captivating to the reader? Was it interesting? The author, how did he write the plot? Did he use flashbacks? And we will learn now together, but leave the flashbacks now. The plot. The plot is the how, not what are the event. What is the plot? No, I don't want to know what is the plot. I want to know how the plot was written. Was it written in an interesting way or in a boring way? Was it captivating for the reader? Or the reader feels bored and he leaves the book and doesn't continue the story? So this is the plot. Point of view. Point of view. Lean الحاج.
Teacher, Lane went to the bathroom.
Since previous period?
No. She
Okay,
just
Serene,
went
you
trying-
read. You read.
Okay, having a point of view is essential in the work of literature. It communicates to the reader who is narrating the story. This section attempts to explain why the author has selected a particular perspective.
Yes, remember guys the point of view? Remember Serene, the point of view? The narrator's point of view?
Yes.
We have first, second, and third. The first point of view is what, Serene? The first person point of view. First.
I forgot.
Okay.
It's I, me, us.
Yes. When the narrator writes the story that happened to him. So when it is written, a story that has happened to the narrator. When an author writes a story that has happened to the narrator, because he invents the narrator, okay? We discussed this before. When a narrator tells you a story that has happened to him, how would this affect the literary work? When I tell you a story that has happened to me, I can express my feelings very well. I can express my feelings very well. My feelings, my motives, my feelings. But in the same time, I may not be aware of others' feelings, of others' emotions, of others' movements. So it may create suspense. So how selecting the point of view, okay, affects the story. Okay, why selecting a perspective, a particular perspective affects the story. What if it is told from the third person point of view? And the third person point of view, Maryam Muhammad, are you here?
Yes,
Maryam? Yes, Maryam Muhammad. In the third person point of view, Maryam, what were the pronouns in it?
they.
They, he, she. It is
Yes.
divided into two parts, limited and omniscient. Limited is when the author
Limited is when the author knows only the thoughts and actions of a few characters.
yes, and omniscient.
When the author knows everything or the narrator knows everything.
Yes. So choosing the third person point of view, limited, it is the same also. The narrator or the author, the narrator tells us about the events that happen to only one or two characters of the stories, But what if he is omniscient, telling it from an omniscient point of view? He knows it all. He knows about all the characters. So he knows the motivation and actions of this one and this one and this one and what happened, and they connect them together. Okay, this was the point of view. Setting, thank you, Serene. Mariam, continue reading setting.
Yes, the setting highlights the specific period and the region in which the characters are moving and performing. Just like characters, settings are also essential to analyze. As the author expresses his or her opinion on a particular character, what they think about the place can also be provocative.
Yes, provocative. It is the setting. How? When he writes a horror story, can he write it in the middle of the day, in a sunny day? It will not be horrifying. Horror stories are written in a dark mood, especially night, even if it's in the morning. So clouds, it's cloudy, not sunny, not brightening. The air could be too cold. Why? Because choosing the setting is the place and the time. Choosing the setting affects the story. So if we read a suspenseful story about a man who lives in an isolated land, in a strange big castle, so it creates suspense. But if he lives in a normal flat, in a normal building, in a normal daylight, in a normal street, surrounded by neighbors, it can be more to be a comedy or a drama but not horror, not a horrifying mood. In order to choose the setting helps you convey the mood. Okay, so the setting affects the plot and affects the story, affect it. Okay, thank you, Mariam.
Okay.
Yes,
Teacher, can I read?
Yes, please. Nancy or Nirvana?
Yeah.
Characters.
Okay. Characters are the backbone of any piece of literature, and no story is complete without them. While writing the literary essay, you need to concentrate on how the characters develop and how they are portrayed. In most of the literary works, there are three types of characters: protagonist, hero; antagonist, villain or the bad guy; catalyst, an important character who is not the protagonist or antagonist. Just stating what the characters are doing will be of no use. You have to think beyond and try to explain why the characters are the way they are.
Yes, so the characters are the backbone of any piece of literature, and no story is complete without them. So when I write the literary analysis, I say I have to concentrate not what are the characters do. That Rosie cheated her husband. No, I don't want to know what did she do. I want to know why did she do. Why did she do? Why, girls? Why we know why she? Because this is the theme. This is what you learn out of something you read, to know why the characters acted this way. There are three types of characters. We have the antagonist, the protagonist, and the catalyst. The protagonist is the hero, okay, the Superman, Spider-Man, or the good guy at school. Antagonist is the enemy, the villain, the bad guy in the story. Catalyst is another effective character. For example, if it's how can we say, in Harry Potter, his friends are catalysts. They are as effective as he was, but he is more important than them. But they are not antagonists, they are not villains. He can be the protagonist's wife, like in Great Gatsby, for example, her husband, Rose's husband, okay, or her cousin, Mike.
Teacher, in the literary analysis, can we write in how the catalysts affected the protagonist in the story?
Protagonist? Yes, you can. You can. That how the author writes it and explains that, and you continue. Because here, again, he says to you, stating or telling what the characters are doing is not important. We don't want to know what did they do. We want to know how and why they did it, the way they did it. Okay, thank you, Nirvana. Nancy, imagery. Nancy?
Teacher, did you call me قبل شوي؟
who لين؟
لين الحاج.
Yes حبيبتي, I called you. read يا لين.
Okay. The
Imagery.
The imagery is used as a symbol, and many of the story's main elements are hidden in them. Therefore, it is an essential aspect of literary work, and as the author attempts to draw a picture in the reader's mind. In the literary analysis essay, talk about the impact of the use of imagery on the story. Also consider the work on literature, development of the story and its effect on the characters.
Imagery. What is imagery? Again, we said that in order for the reader, in order to bring him to the story, to put him in the story, to put him in the middle of the plot, the author uses imagery. What are imagery? Look, girls, using the five senses in order to bring the captivate the reader with you. You use your five senses. So when you say what you hear, what you smell, what you feel, what you touch, what you all of this is to bring the reader with you. We have 7 types of imagery in literature. We have visual, is the author or the narrator. The narrator says what he sees. So I'm in the middle of the desert, the forest, with a lot of, if he's telling the story of the first person point of view, with a lot of tangled trees and bushes. It's dark or full of parrots and visual. Auditory imagery. Auditory, I can hear the singing and the chirps of the birds flying from a tree to another. Okay, this is auditory. Olfactory is the smell, with the smell or with the aroma of the new lilies next to the falling cascade, the cascading waterfall. And gustatory, the taste. Okay, my tongue feels the taste or feels the taste of the dew in the morning. Dew is these small drops of water, the dew that falls in the morning. This is, so you can imagine how exactly he stands in the middle of the forest. He can hear the chirps of the birds. He can see the tangled trees, which is a heavy forest or a thick forest. Can smell the smell of lilies, so maybe it's a spring. Okay, when I walk, I can feel the soft touch of flowers so I can understand more that it is spring. And then kinesthetic is the movement. Kinesthetic is to explain the movement. Running or walking slowly was better than running because it gave me time to feel the steps on the mud, for example. Organic is the feelings. This was an experience that brought or put me in another soul voyage or anything. So when he used these ways, you have to concentrate on them. So this is a very important point to be analyzed. The author has succeeded in bringing or making the scene alive by mentioning the gustatory imagery in describing how was the food. Yani there is a Turkish novelist girl. Her name is Elif Shafak. She's my favorite. She's a woman. She's Turkish. She's my favorite. Yani nothing can describe her. I like everything she writes. Elif Shafak. She is the one who wrote 40 Rules of Love.
Oh, okay.
Okay. She wrote many books. I read all of her books. Yani I love her so much. She uses the imagery in a way of unbelievable way. I can't, when I'm in your seat, I can smell because in Turkey they cook, especially old people, they cook rice pudding. I can smell the smell of rice pudding. I can wallahi, once she described a scene with a little child
Yes.
who meets her father after 2 years of absence. I saw the girl, يعني I saw the girl in front of me, and her father is coming through the hell, and she runs toward him. I smelled the whole atmosphere. How can I smell? How can I see the girl? How can I see the scene in front of me? The excellent usage of the imagery in literature. Okay,
Yes.
I remember the lines that she modified the smell of the rice pudding with cinnamon on top and
This one
grapes.
I brought, you know, the book when I was little, the 40 Rules of Love, and I didn't understand anything
Of course.
of it.
Yes,
I
yes, you
didn't
don't.
understand anything. I was like, what the hell? What is this? And I
Yes.
closed the book and put it, but I have it. But I have it in Arabic. I bought it from Syria.
Yes, it is actually, you will not understand it at your age. You have to grow up a little bit. And especially you say that you were younger, so you will never understand it.
Yes, I was like grade 8.
No,
and
no,
I
no, you will
didn't
never
understand
understand it.
anything.
The grown-ups, when they read it, they didn't like it, but of course I liked it so much. She wrote lots of books. Alif Shafaq. Huh?
What's the book?
Alif Shafaq. She has the architecture and the I can't remember the title. Is it here?
And it's about
I have this in Arabic. Oh, here it is in, because I read to her in Arabic. She writes in Turkish. Sometimes it's, yani her main language is Turkish. She writes in Turkish. She only wrote one novel in English. This is لقيطة Istanbul. This is الفتى المتيم والمعلم. This is written in English too. I saw this in English, but I don't remember the title. The architecture. Let me check.
Oh, The Architecture's Apprentice.
Yes. Who read it? Nirvana or Nancy?
No, miss, I didn't read it. I just searched her books on Google.
Yes. And where is it? Here is it. She has also Honor. Honor is 2 parts. Honor is great. And she, here, the 40 Rules of Love. The Bastard of Istanbul, or Istanbul Bastard, which is لقيطة Istanbul. Okay.
Miss, I remember when I read it, I read like, I mean, يعني هيك يمكن the first 50 pages or something. And
it is
it
hard.
was,
yes,
yes,
it is
and
hard.
but it was something يعني خرابيش كان عن بتذكر كان اشياء فيها دين كمان او شيء او something
Because she
like
is
that.
Sufi.
Yes, and I told my mother that, no, there's يعني weird things in here.
Because
and then
she
she
is
said to
Sufi.
me, "Khas, don't read it, stop."
The Architecture and Apprentice. Yes, yeah, Nirvana, right? But yet I can't find it.
Miss Lujain.
Lujain? I thought Nirvana, because I cannot tell from here. The Apprentice, and I can't find it. Why I can't find it?
I don't know. It's the architects.
Here, the Architect's Apprentice. Yes, the Architect's Apprentice, not the Architecture. I thought it's because I was working for I was searching for another title. The Architect's Apprentice. Actually, the Architect's Apprentice, she tells the story of Sinan. If you went to Turkey, Lin Matari, you've been to Turkey. She tells in this novel about Batuli also went to Turkey. She tells the story about Sinan. Sinan is the architecture, the great architecture engineer who built the mosques there, who built the great mosques there. His name is Sinan.
But are they real ولا she imagined them?
In Architects here, she mentions his life story, but of course not all of it. But she mentions important events in his life.
Yes.
But other are fiction. Yes, she wrote Honor. Honor is 2 parts. 40 Rules of Love, Dark Milk, The Istanbul Bastard, the Architect's Apprentice. Apprentice is someone who learns, يعني student. Apprentice actually ألف شفاق إن شاء الله يعني, but you need to grow up a little bit to understand her, because even those يعني even grown-ups do not like her that much. They say we don't get her because she's Sufi, so she writes in a way. So
Yes.
what I wanted to say that she wrote, wallahi, I remember the smell of the rice pudding in my nose till now. She is how? By the excellence of describing the smell. And this is what a successful author is, to use the senses in order to bring the reader with him, take the reader from his seat to his seat with him. This is a successful author. Symbolism, read Yehuda.
Symbolism is another aspect of literature. It is not explained in words, but is hidden in the text and explained through different means. In simple words, it is used when an object is meant to represent an idea more significant than the object itself.
Yes, so for example, symbolism is like a dove. A white dove resembles peace. Two swords and a palm tree resembles Saudi Arabia. Two swords resembles jihad. So this is a symbolism. Symbolism is when a little object and behind this dove, a long story. So symbolism is the meaning beyond this object.
Yes, like between the lines.
How the author did this, how he used the symbolism. We are still in the literary analysis, girls. We are still in the literature elements, the literary elements. The last one, so we have, are we out of time? No, we still have 1 minute. We can take the irony. Irony, read it, continue, Huda.
Irony. The irony is one of the most impactful elements that leave an impression on the reader's memory. It is opposite to the expectations or even to the desires of some specific characters.
When
or
I say something, I don't mean it. When an irony, in irony, when I say something, but I don't mean it. I mean the opposite. When I expect something to happen, but the opposite happens, like in the Telltale Eyes, when he brought Lux to the door, he didn't. In the irony there, that the one of inside the house will kill him. He was afraid of thieves outside the house, but one of inside the house will kill him. So this is an irony, and there is this is situational irony. And the third one is dramatic irony, when someone in the drama doesn't know what other people know. Okay, so here I have verbal, situational, dramatic. So I have to analyze also the irony, if there is any irony in the drama. So irony is an element that should be analyzed in a literary analysis. Linda, foreshadowing, Linda, last thing. Linda? Dima?
Yes, Amir.
Yes, Linda, foreshadowing.
The authors often try to hint at the future or expect events through their description. It is known as foreshadowing. The writers provide hint to the readers about what they can expect from the character or the story's plot.
Yes.
Impress your teacher by presenting your point of view and analysis.
Yes, foreshadowing is when the author gives you hints about what is going to happen in the future. So why it creates suspense. I don't want to talk more than this. I will repeat them next period. Go for your break. See you on Sunday. Bye.
Bye.
I wish that on Sunday you'll be awake. Huh? A week has passed. Okay?
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye, sweetheart. Have a nice